The shocking truth behind Apostle Philip's desert journey. Will you believe the Holy Spirit's plan? It was a scorching day in an ancient world, the sun hung like a vengeful eye above the arid sands. The winds whispered secrets through the dry brush, the cries of vultures circled menacingly above a lonely figure, Apostle Philip. He was on a mission that could rattle the heavens, a journey that would confront the darkness lurking just beyond the shimmering horizon. No one knew what shadows clung to the edges of this relentless desert, and as Philip took his first step, the very ground seemed to quiver beneath him, almost alive. Strange occurrences plagued this forsaken stretch of land. Travelers spoke of echoes, haunting whispers that called them by name in the dead of night. Others claimed to have seen golden lights dancing over the dunes, orbs of divine power flickering just out of reach. Villagers would gather in the towns to recount the tales, their faces ashen with fear. Parents warned their children never wander alone at dusk, for it was then the desert came alive with spirits hungry for souls. Philip felt the weight of those stories pressing down on him, tightening like a vice around his chest. With each hesitant footfall, he sensed invisible eyes watching him, felt an oppressive weight on his shoulders. Was he being drawn into a trap? Or was it the Holy Spirit guiding him to something extraordinary? The tension pricked at his skin, and a shiver ran down his spine as he recalled an ancient prophecy, a voice that promised revelation awaited him on this barren path. As he ventured deeper, the burning sun began to dip below the horizon, splashing the sky with hues of crimson and gold. Shadows lengthened around him, wrapping the landscape in a cloak of gloom just as the haunting whispers began. They echoed in his ears, a blend of sweet melodies and painful cries. Were they calling him, urging him to turn back? Or inviting him deeper into the depths of mystery? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash the like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The winds howled now, cutting like knives as the last sliver of daylight vanished. Suddenly, a burst of light flickered on the edge of the horizon, an impossible brightness against the encroaching night. Philip's heart raced. Could the Holy Spirit be revealing itself here? The light pulsed like a heartbeat, brightening and dimming in rhythm with his escalating fears. He stepped forward, drawn like a moth to that dazzling flame. But as he approached, the whispers grew deafening, swirling around him like a storm. In that moment, Philip knew he had to make a choice: retreat to safety or push through the veil of night toward whatever lay hidden in the shadows. Was he ready to face the truth that awaited him? The desert trembled, and so did he, as the light flickered once more, cutting the air with the promise of unimaginable destiny. As Philip stood at the brink of the unknown, an inexplicable force tugged at him, pulling him closer to that pulsing light. Shadows crawled around him, shifting like restless spirits eager to foretell doom. He could almost hear his heart thundering, each beat echoing against the hollow landscape, drowning out the whispers that boomed around him. He stumbled forward, breath caught in his throat. Just as he reached the threshold of light, the ground trembled beneath him, vibrating violently like an angry beast awakening from slumber. Philip fell to his knees, heart racing, eyes wide. The air thickened with tension, the heat of the day sucked away by the encroaching darkness. And then, silence. In that stillness, a form emerged from the blinding brilliance. It was humanoid yet otherworldly, a figure cloaked in light, its features a blur. A presence that felt both terrifying and comforting at once. Philip's fingers twitched at his sides, instinct urging him to flee, but his mind demanded he stay. Tu sientes el miedo. The voice resonated like thunder yet was as soft as a feather. It wrapped around Philip and squeezed. You've come for answers, Haven to you? The truth stunned him, his mouth dried like the desert beneath the sun. Who are you? He managed to whisper, voice trembling as much as his body. I am the guide for those who dare seek the truth. The light you see is but a glimpse of what lies within you. You are chosen, Apostle Philip, for a journey that will reshape destiny. Philip's mind raced. Chosen? But for what? He was just a man caught between worlds, struggling with his own faith. I am not ready, he stammered. The light flickered, then flared with intensity, pushing back the night. Readiness is not given. It is forged in fire and shadow. You tread on a path filled with trials. Courage will ask of you what you fear most. With that, the figure extended a hand. Entrapped by immense energy, Philip's longing for purpose surged to the surface. How long had he waited for something greater than himself? He reached out, the connection instant and electric, like lightning coursing through his veins. Suddenly, a vision unfolded before him, flashes of a city in turmoil, people crying out for salvation. Their faces twisted with desperation and longing. He saw dark forces creeping into their lives, casting shadows over their joys. They needed a beacon, something to lift them from despair. Take heed of this vision. It shall guide you through the desolation, the figure declared fiercely. But beware. The darkness is cunning. It knows your weakness. Just as swiftly as the vision appeared, it dissolved. Philip gasped, the weight of the images pressing hard against his chest. A sob escaped his lips, fear clawed at his gut. He could turn back, the safety of anonymity awaited, far removed from responsibility, but what would become of the people? This flicker of courage ignited something deep within him. He knew he couldn't ignore what he had seen. As he solidified his resolve, an eerie howling erupted from the dunes, rattling the very air around him. The warmth of the light began to dim, and the night pressed in, cloaking everything in shadow. Your journey begins now, and always remember what is unseen may dwell in the outward shadows. Do not falter. Trust in what guides you. With a final glimmer, the figure faded, leaving Philip alone again, his own heartbeat a drum of determination echoing in the dark. He rose slowly, wiping the tears from his cheeks, prepared for what was to come, but as he turned to head deeper into the night, something twisted and sinister stirred behind him, hidden in the shifting sands. Overhead, the vultures circled lower, their cries now an ominous warning echoing the fears in his heart. What retribution awaited him in the depths of the desert's embrace? Was this the beginning of a revelation or the end of all he held dear? Philip clenched his fists, a bolt of determination rushing through him. He was ready to face the shadows, but were the shadows ready for him? The darkness felt alive, swirling around Philip like a thick fog. Each step he took stirred the sand beneath him, causing a cascade of whispers in the night. He glanced back, heart racing. But whatever had moved there, hidden in the shadow, was gone now. He inhaled sharply, the air heavy with an acrid scent as if the very ground beneath him had absorbed despair. With each breath, his resolve wavered slightly, the weight of fear creeping back into his soul. Yet, the vision lingered, faces filled with desperation urgently urging him to act. He couldn't just walk away, but the desert was unrelenting. The howling grew louder, now mixed with a guttural growl. Unseen eyes seemed to watch him move, hungry and sinister, lurking just beyond the periphery. He shook his head, trying to clear the encroaching sense of doom. He forced himself to focus. Courage is forged, he murmured, repeating the figure's words to himself as a mantra. Each utterance attempted to shield him from the dread that dripped down his spine. As he pressed onward, the shadows coalesced, pooling into a deep pool of darkness to his left. It wasn't just any shadow, this one pulsated, as if it had a heartbeat of its own. Philip halted, his eyes wide as the form began shifting, morphing into a shape both familiar and grotesque. Philip, the voice was like ice skimming across his skin. He felt its chill wrap around him, paralyzing. It was a voice he recognized, a voice from his past. As the shape solidified, an image emerged that sent a shiver down his spine, his mentor, Father Elias, eyes alight with an otherworldly glow. But something was wrong. Elias? He breathed, uncertainty flooding his heart. Father Elias had once been his guiding star, a man of unwavering faith. Yet here he stood, his smile a predator's grin, too wide and too knowing. Come to me, my dear disciple. The words dripped with deceit. I've waited for you. Philip stepped back, instinct taking over. You're not him. Am I not? The figure laughed, a sound that sliced through the night like a blade. The world is wrought with illusions, Philip. You were always so eager to believe in what you saw. The playful mockery clawed at Philip. He had sought the truth, fought through skepticism all his life. But here, surrounded by shadows and strange forces, he felt the ground slipping beneath him. "You're afraid," the figure continued. "You fear what truth lies beneath your own facade." Fear gripped him like a vice, but with it came an ember of anger. "I'm not afraid of facing darkness." "Then prove it." The shadow shifted again, becoming fluid, coiling tighter like a serpent ready to strike. "Step into the shadows and take what is rightfully yours." Philip clenched his fists, heart hammering in his chest as he weighed the risk. Did he dare confront the void? A moment of silence filled the space, crackling with tension. He thought of the vision of the despair he'd seen. The faces crying out, "I refuse." He shouted defiantly, determination igniting within him. This was his moment. Whether the shadows liked it or not, he would reclaim his strength and confront the fear festering inside. Fools step forward without knowing the cost. The shadow flickered, recoiling as if it had been burned. "Remember, I know your weakness and I'll relish watching it consume you." With a sudden surge of clarity, Philip stepped forward, embracing the darkness that sought to ensnare him. There was power in the confrontation. What you resist persists. He was done running. In that moment, the desert began to tremble, the ground shifting violently beneath him. Dark tendrils shot out from the shadow, wrapping around his limbs like snakes. The darkness whispered enticing promises of safety, of surrender. But he stayed steadfast, rising against it with a roar of defiance. What would happen next? Would the shadows bolt him down, or would he vanquish the darkness threatening to consume him? The echoes of his own heart gave no answers, only the ominous howl of the wind filled his ears as he pulled against the binding darkness, ready to fight for his destiny. But would victory demand a sacrifice too great to bear? Philip felt the shadows tighten around him, their grip like iron chains. A surge of adrenaline pushed through his veins, fueling a desperate fight against the oppressive darkness. This was more than just a physical battle, it was a war for his very soul. "I know who I am," he shouted, the words ringing out starkly in the stillness. The ominous laughter from the shadowy Elias echoed around him, an unsettling symphony that made his skin crawl. "Do you?" it taunted. "Your doubts are as real as the desert night, endless and consuming. You escape your truth, thinking you can become a savior. Stop!" Philip yelled, the tremor in his voice betraying his uncertainty. "You're not real." The laughter faded, replaced by something even more chilling, a silence that enveloped him, heavy and thick. For a moment, the swirling darkness stilled, leaving him wondering if he'd imagined it all. But the breeze whispered around him, carrying the scent of burnt earth and ancient terror, reminding him that his reality was all too tangible. Suddenly, the grip slackened, and with guttural force, the shadow flung him back. He stumbled, his feet slipping in the loose sand, but as he steadied himself, the air turned electric. A deep rumble resonated from within the ground, vibrating with a stark and unyielding fury. Then, like the snap of a whip, the shadows coalesced again, rising up to form a monstrous figure, something that was no longer Elias or any man he recognized. It was a monstrous beast, with twisting limbs and hollow eyes that glimmered with a deceitful light. "You call this a fight? You've barely begun, Philip. You seek to confront me in your fleeting anger? Such little strength against an ancient darkness." Clutching his pounding chest, Philip felt his heart racing as panic clawed at his throat. "What do you want from me?" "Your surrender," the creature hissed, its breath foul and cloying. "Submit, and I will grant you the peace you so desperately seek." Refusing to yield, Philip's mind raced. Confrontation had always been his strong suit. He had confronted dilemmas head-on, uncovered truths hidden in the light. Could he not do the same against this terror? "I won't give in," he declared, each word laced with conviction. The beast reared back, its maw curling into a sinister grin. "Then let the reckoning commence." With a violent roar, the creature lunged, dark claws aiming straight for him. Philip braced himself, adrenaline surging as he ducked to the side, narrowly avoiding the shadowy grasp. He felt a weight lift temporarily, the realization that he wasn't powerless. Breathing heavily, he regained his footing and prepared for a counterattack. He thought of the faces he had seen, their cries became his fuel. You won't take me, he shouted defiantly, channeling every ounce of his strength into a single, desperate thrust against the darkness. The desert trembled again, as if sharing in his resolve. A vibrant luminescence pulsed from within him, igniting a flicker of light that spread against the oppressive shadows. The beast hesitated, momentarily disoriented by the brightness pushing through. "What?" it stammered, losing its formidable edge. Philip seized the moment, lunging forward. His hand met the creature's cold surface, and the light surged hotter, brighter. The shadows screamed, writhing and convulsing as they receded, spitting curses and promises of doom. "Your journey is not yet finished." The shadow roared, but Philip pressed harder, knowing this battle was just the start of something much larger than he had anticipated. Just then, a fracture tore through the ground beneath them, sending a shockwave rippling through the air. The landscape shattered, and Philip struggled to keep his footing. A narrow rift opened, a yawning abyss threatening to swallow him whole. In that horrifying instant, he realized that facing his darkness had unveiled an even greater danger lurking beneath. It was a decision point, a moment that would not only test his courage but also set the course of his destiny. Would he leap into the void to unearth the truth, or could he find a way to triumph without disappearing into that dark abyss? The echoes of the past haunted him, and a chilling question filled his mind: what lay on the other side? The ground crumbled beneath his feet, and he knew he had to act quickly. Time was running out. Philip took a breath, a deep, shaky inhale that rattled his chest. The rift opened wider, a gaping mouth in the earth, whispering dark promises that clawed at his resolve. He felt the heat of the creature's rage seeping into him, its anger a tangible force that pulled him closer to that treacherous edge. Doubt crept back in, worming through the cracks in his confidence. "Leap or fight," he mumbled, weighing the choices. Each was meant to either liberate or destroy him, and everything around him teetered on that brink. The beast circled, a predator sensing hesitance. "You can't escape," it hissed with a mocking tone, as if relishing his internal struggle. "You're already trapped in a nightmare of your own making. Just let go." The words stung. Philip shook his head, slamming his fists against the ground in frustration, sending a shower of sand into the air. "I won't. You don't get to define who I am." With that, something shifted in him. Lightning flashed through his mind. His past, the choices he made, the pain he had endured, it all coalesced into a singular moment of purpose. He wasn't merely running from shadows, he was fighting for something greater. A loud crack echoed, and the very sky seemed to shift, as if reality itself was bending. Philip looked up, heart racing, as the shadows around him began to pulse, a sick swirling mass echoing the chaos within. "You think you can resist? Then let your reckless hope shatter into darkness." But instead of fear, clarity rushed through him. He stepped toward the edge of the abyss, feeling an innate power tingling in his limbs. "No. I won't let you win. I embrace my pain," he shouted, and as if responding, the ground shook violently beneath him. Light erupted from within, cascading into a blinding aura that forced the shadows back. The beast screamed in agony, the sound reverberating through the ground as it stumbled, momentarily disoriented. Philip wasted no time. He leaped forward, catching the momentum of the light and channeling it into his palms. The air crackled with energy, a tangible force that surged from the depths of his spirit, spiraling into brilliant tendrils that lashed out at the fearful darkness. In that dizzying moment, he caught a glimpse of the abyss, the glimmer of something deeply buried but pulsating with potential. Shadows loomed, but the light danced ahead, beckoning him closer. "Stop him!" the beast shrieked, trying to reform the darkness into a protective shell. But Philip had tasted something raw, something liberating. "I am not afraid of the truth," he declared as the light flared, engulfing him and the beast in a shimmer of fire and brightness. With explosive force, the darkness around him shattered, splintering into 1,000 shards that glittered against the stark night. They formed a lost landscape, memories rising from the debris like phantoms, a childhood home, a sunset with laughter echoing, whispers of love. Yet the creature writhed, its twisted form changing, morphing into countless faces, friends long gone, sacrifices made, all tied to his fear, grief, and hope. Each sliced through him, urging him to hesitate. "Feel that?" it snarled. "It's the weight of your soul. Surrender, and I'll shield you from the pain. Philip froze for a heartbeat, heart thundering, the beast's words clawing at his mind. He realized it wasn't about fighting to escape, it was about confronting the truth he had run from for far too long. Summoning every ounce of bravery, he stepped toward the light, a leap of faith. A terrible scream erupted behind him, and the world went white. Then silence. When he opened his eyes, Philip found himself standing on the brink of the rift, a vast expanse of luminous light stretching out before him. What lay ahead was uncharted territory, vibrating with energy, and filled with echoes of past choices. But could he trust what he saw? He took a slow breath, knowing he had already stepped through the threshold. Now he had to choose what to do next. As he gazed into the shimmering unknown, his heart raced with anticipation and fear. He realized the journey had only just begun. Would he dare to uncover what awaited him on the other side, or would the weight of his shadows drag him down into despair? The world around Philip pulsed with vibrant energy, an almost musical hum that resonated in his bones. He took a cautious step forward, feeling the warmth of the light wash over him like a tender embrace. But just as he began to breathe easier, a chilling realization gripped him: the shadows still loomed nearby. "Don't think you can escape so easily." The beast's voice slithered through the air, menacing and low. Philip's heart raced as he spun around, frantically searching for the source of the sound. Suddenly, the darkness surged forth, stretching out like a tide threatening to swallow him whole. He could see it swirling and writhing, forming grotesque shapes that mirrored the faces of his past, the friends he had lost, the opportunities he had squandered. Each face brought with it a wave of heartache, each wail a dagger straight to his core. "No!" he shouted, shaking his head fiercely, trying to drown out the memories clawing at his consciousness. "You have no power over me. I have faced you before." The beast laughed, the sound echoing eerily through the luminous landscape. "Face me again, and see how deep your despair runs." Philip clenched his fists, every fiber of his being telling him to fight. This wasn't just some ethereal creature, it was a manifestation of all his regrets, all his fears. And yet, here, bathed in this light, he felt a flicker of something else: hope. "Enough!" he yelled, and as the shadows lunged, he reached deep within himself, pulling on that bright energy that had ignited his spirit. It surged like a fire through his veins, illuminating his every thought. With each word, he pushed back the darkness. "You do not own my pain. You do not define me by my failures. I will not let you drag me down." The shining light around him intensified, brightening with every declaration, each one weaving hope into the fabric of his reality. He could sense the beast faltering, its form flickering amidst the brilliance. "Stop! You're destroying our bond!" it screeched, wrestling against the encroaching light with anguished fury. But it was too late. Philip was past the point of no return. The shadows shattered like glass, scattering into nothingness, leaving behind an echo of silence. Philip stood strong, breathing heavily, yet he felt lighter, unburdened. The visions of his past flickered and faded, replaced by an ever-growing path forward, a radiant trail that beckoned him onward. But as the light began to settle, a new flavor of dread crept into the corners of his mind. What would he find on this new journey? Would the memories he had battled truly remain behind, or would they rise again to haunt him? Before he could fully process his thoughts, a figure stepped into view just beyond the light, a silhouette cloaked in mystery. "Philip," it called with a voice as soft as a whisper. "Are you ready to face your truth?" His pulse quickened. This figure possessed a familiarity that sent shivers down his spine. Was this another illusion, or the consequence of the leap he had just taken? "Who are you?" he demanded, strengthening his resolve against the encroaching uncertainty. The figure stepped closer, revealing a face he recognized all too well, yet time had altered it. "It's time to understand what the light has shown you." As Philip stared, heart pounding wildly, he realized the cliff of truth he now stood upon was more daunting than the churning darkness he left behind. Would he embrace the revelation waiting in the light, or would he shy away from the confrontation that lay ahead? The uncertainty loomed, tantalizing yet terrifying. What awaited him in that mystic glow? Would he dare to uncover the truth behind this new journey, or would he retreat into the shadows once more? The figure stepped fully into the light, and Philip felt his breath catch. It was his sister, Lily. Her smile was warm, but her eyes betrayed a deep sorrow, shimmering with unspoken words. Time had not just altered her face, it had shaped her into something both familiar and foreign. Lily? He faltered, the name tumbling from his lips like a forgotten echo. He could hardly comprehend how she stood before him, alive and radiant, when the memory of her loss still gripped his heart like a vice. Please, Philip. Listen to me, she urged, stepping closer. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to help. A part of him wanted to reach out, to wrap his arms around her and pull her close. But another part was rooted in fear, trembling with the weight of his unresolved grief. How is this possible? You're not real. You can't be here. Do you think I would abandon you? She replied, sincerity piercing through his doubts. The light has shown you a path, but it's up to you to walk it. You need to confront everything you've buried. Philip shook his head, retreating a step. But I've already fought the darkness. I shattered it. Did you really? She challenged, the warmth of her gaze cooling to a hardened resolve. Or did you merely banish a part of yourself that refuses to be acknowledged? Her words sliced through him, unraveling the tight-knit fabric of his courage. He felt naked under her scrutiny, exposed and raw. The shadows were not gone, they lingered on the edges of his mind, waiting to pounce on any sign of weakness. What do you mean? Philip asked, desperation bleeding into his voice. I faced the beast. I overcame it. The beast is not just a creature, Philip, she explained, her eyes glimmering with the weight of understanding. It's a part of you. The regrets, the pain, the guilt, if you ignore them, they only grow stronger. You need to accept what you've lost to truly move on. The words ignited a torrent of memories. Each regret, each failure came rushing back. His chest tightened as the pain flooded in, the laughter shared, the moments lost. They crowded in, clawing for attention, threatening to drown him anew. Then, what must I do? He whispered, the weight of his past pressing heavily on his shoulders. Lily moved closer, reaching out as if she could bridge the distance between them. You must learn to forgive yourself. Embrace the truth behind your fears. Only then can you find peace. Her hand shimmered with a soft golden light. It illuminated the space between them, creating a bridge he had long yearned for but never thought possible. For a heartbeat, he wanted to take it, to grasp onto this ray of hope and be pulled from the abyss of his guilt, but doubt snaked its way into his mind. What if he couldn't forgive himself? What if the memories would forever haunt him? Let go, Philip, she urged, the gentle strength in her voice dissolving the panic knotted within him. Choose to believe. Choose to confront. In that darkness, I found the light. So can you. The glowing hand hovered nearer, and the shadow stirred, writhing at the edges of his consciousness. Fear mingled with the warmth of hope. Was he truly ready to step forward, to face everything he had been running from? With a resolute breath, he reached out toward her, feeling the weight of his decision pressing down, heavy yet liberating. He was teetering on the edge of a new reality. But just as their fingers brushed, a deafening roar shattered the moment, echoing across the radiant expanse. The beast had returned bigger, angrier, more menacing than before. You cannot escape. It bellowed, reverberating through his bones, threatening to pull him back into the unforgiving shadows. Caught between the darkness and the light, Philip stood at a crossroads. Would he dive headfirst into his emotions, or would he allow the beast to drag him back into despair? The echo of that roar hung in the air, a chilling reminder of the fight that was far from over. What would he choose? The beast loomed before him, its eyes burning with a fierce, haunting glare. Philip's heart thundered, each beat a drum warning him of the danger that hovered so close, clawing at the universe they shared. The ground trembled beneath him as the creature's massive form shifted, casting an oppressive shadow that swallowed the light around him. Philip! Lily's voice cut through the chaos, fierce and unwavering. You have to face it. You're stronger than it seems. He could hardly process her words, his mind racing. The beast's presence was overwhelming, twisting fear deep in his gut. It felt all-consuming, a dark tide crashing against the fragile shoreline of his hope. He was still hovering on that precipice, the choice hanging in the air like a noose, waiting to ensnare him. What if I can't? Philip whispered, doubt choking his throat. But Lily's eyes never wavered. You can. Look deeper, it's not just a monster. It's your pain, your regret. Accept it, don't fight it. The conflict engulfed him, the beast snarling, showing sharp teeth that glimmered like knives. It stepped forward, vibrating the ground beneath them, casting an even longer and darker shadow that loomed over him. Philip could almost feel its hot breath on his skin, each exhalation carrying the bitter stink of despair. A moment suspended in time. Instead of retreating, he breathed. He inhaled the past, the laughter, the cries, each moment intertwined with silent tears. Memories hung like fruit, ripe for the picking, and they felt raw and real, reverberating through him. What if I'm not enough? Philip's thoughts spiraled, panic flooding his veins like a shot of ice-cold fear. What if you are? Lily countered, stepping closer with resolute tenderness. You must choose to believe in your own strength. The shimmering glow from her hand held him, drawing him toward an understanding that seeped through his racing thoughts. Was he truly ready to confront the darker pieces of himself? Forgive yourself, Philip. Lily's command pierced through the haze of doubt, igniting a spark of defiance. Face it. Only by acceptance can you gain freedom. The beast roared again, but this time, Philip stood his ground, feeling the adrenaline surge through him. The fear was still there, slithering, but now, it felt different, a challenge instead of a chain. He took a step toward the beast, wraps of courage building around him. More than the monster, it was a reflection of everything he had pushed away. He didn't feel small anymore. He felt seen. He felt real. I see you. Philip shouted, his voice echoing off the walls of his own mind. You're a part of me. I won't turn away any longer. A ripple of surprise threaded through the beast's features. In that moment, the roar faltered. For the briefest heartbeat, Philip saw it for what it truly was, a collection of his fears and sadness, tangled together, waiting for release. Come forth, he urged, his voice steadier now. I embrace you. Dark clouds began to swirl around, encircling him, the air crackling with raw energy. He remembered the laughter shared with Lily, the small joys caught in time. He remembered the love that lingered even in loss. As he gathered memory after memory, he held them up like shields. The beast's form shimmered, trembling like mist in the wind. And then, with a rush of power, it surged toward him, ready to obliterate the last of his will. But instead of fighting it, Philip opened his arms wide. He didn't flinch. A deafening silence filled the space. The air thickened, crackling with anticipation as he closed his eyes, feeling the surge of emotions, all the pain and regret flowing into him. It was as if the beast transformed, melding with the heat of his own heartbeat, flooding him with a sense of clarity. As light began to overpower the shadow, Philip gasped, knowing he was standing on the edge of revelation. What new secrets were hiding within that darkness? What had he yet to discover about his own strength and perhaps Lily's unspoken words? With determination coursing through him, he opened his eyes to a new reality. But just then, shattering the silence, a chilling whisper slid through the air like a spectral wind. You think this is over? It taunted a voice that was both familiar and foreign. There's a greater truth to be unveiled. As dread settled like a fog around him, the question hung in the air. Would Philip dare to delve deeper into this unfolding mystery, or would he step back into the familiar shadows? The ground beneath Philip quaked with an intensity that rattled his bones. The echo of that taunting voice lingered in his ears, wrapping around his thoughts like a tightening noose. He felt exposed, vulnerable. Lily stood resolute by his side, but her gaze flickered to the shadows that curled around them. You have to be ready, Philip, she urged, her voice just above a whisper. It was less a command now and more a plea, a reminder that the true battle was only beginning. I can't face this alone. His heart raced, a wild beast fighting against the confines of his chest. Panic welled, clashing with the newfound clarity he had just grasped. How could he harness it when the chill of doubt crept back in? Remember, Lily urged, her eyes piercing through the murky veil of fear. This journey is as much about trust as it is about acceptance. Where there is trust, there is power. The beast receded slightly, drawing the mist of darkness back to its form. Philip could almost see it shifting, not entirely threatening anymore, but a puzzle waiting to reveal its pieces. Wasn't he that what Lily had said? An embodiment of his own pain? As he stood there, caught between the past and the whispering present, shadows deepened and coalesced. He took a shaky breath and stepped further forward. A surge of courage ignited within him. "What do you want from me?" he shouted, his voice breaking the dense silence. For a moment, the shadows stilled. "From you?" the voice echoed, now almost mocking, dripping with irony. "What do you think? I am all the parts you refuse to acknowledge." With each syllable, Philip felt the weight of those words press down on him, like hands pulling him beneath the surface of the water. Every regret, each pain he had tried to bury, moved through him. And it was true he had fought against these truths for too long. A flicker of understanding sparked within. "Then let's finish this," he declared, meeting the creaturesque gaze with strength. The shadows danced chaotically, yet there was a stillness in the air that felt electric. As if sensing his resolve, the beast shifted again, morphing into a silhouette of blurred faces, fleeting images of lost loves, missed opportunities, and all the times he felt he had failed. It was overwhelming, a flood of emotion threatening to drown him, but a pulse of warmth burst forth from within. "I won't lose myself to you," he shouted defiantly, the words thrumming in the air between them. "I know who I am." The beast recoiled, a dim flicker of illumination pushing through the edges of darkness. It wailed, a sound so raw and primal that it rattled his very soul. Philip pressed on. "You won't control me any longer." With that declaration, tendrils of light erupted from within him, rays illuminating the battleground. Philip finally understood, this wasn't merely a struggle against an external monster but a confrontation with the shadows lurking inside him. He had to embrace them, not fight. Suddenly, with blinding brightness, the silhouettes began to absorb into him. Memories, shadows, fears, they all merged into a new amalgamation of power, swirling around until he felt as if he would burst apart. Yet, with each heartbeat, a new truth knitted within him, a truth that whispered of redemption and strength. And then, just as quickly as the light enveloped him, it began to fade. Philip gasped, feeling a pull, a gravitational force drawing him into the depths of that spectral whisper. "Good," the voice coiled around him one last time, heavy with implication. "You may have accepted me, but my secrets run deep. Are you ready for what comes next?" He knew, without a shred of doubt, that the real journey was just commencing. The shadows had retreated only to reveal a path lined with new uncertainties, new truths waiting to be uncovered. With each heartbeat, he felt the power of choice surge within him. What hidden truths lingered ahead? Would embracing the past lead him into deeper darkness or open doors to an unimagined light? Philip stood in the profound stillness of the newfound light, a heartbeat away from all that had been and all that was to come. He had faced his demons, embraced the shadows, and yet, uncertainty hung in the air like a thick fog. The whispers of the beast still echoed faintly in the recesses of his mind, a reminder that even as he danced with light, nothing was truly over. The figure of Lily shimmered before him, her presence grounding him, reminding him of love and hope, of the things worth fighting for. "I'm here, Philip," she said softly, stepping closer, her smile now filled with warmth and understanding. "You did it. You faced the darkness within. Now, trust in that light. But fear not at him." What lay beyond that light? Was it truly a path toward redemption, or another layer of shadows waiting to ensnare? A sudden gust of wind swept through, rustling the luminescent drapery around them, sending cold shivers down his spine. "Your journey is only beginning," the beast's voice reverberated through the luminescence, though less threatening now, more like a warning. "Each truth you uncover will demand a greater sacrifice. Are you willing to pay that cost?" Philip clenched his fists, determination igniting within. This was his moment to reclaim not just the pieces of his past, but also the pieces of his future. "I won't back down. I choose to embrace the truth, no matter how painful," he declared, each word fortified by the resolve that surged within him. Lily stepped forward, her hand outstretched. "Remember, it's all connected: the past, the pain, the hope. Each truth prepares you for what comes next. Face it with courage." The shadows began to swirl, forming a vortex, the embodiment of his deepest fears, regrets, and unspoken truths. They beckoned him closer, trying to pull him into their chaos. Philip stood at the edge, trembling, his heart pounding in his chest. "Don't do this, Philip!" The beast roared, tension crackling through the air. "You think you can bear the weight of all your failures?" "I already have," he countered, deep breath grounding him. "They are part of me, and I refuse to run. I will learn from them." Gathering every ounce of courage, he stepped toward the vortex, his heart steadying as he faced the maelstrom of memories swirling around him. The darkness pressed against him, he could see the faces of friends he'd lost, moments of shame, echoes of regret. But he also felt something else, a warmth, a flicker of joy hidden among the pain. "I see you!" Philip shouted out into the chaos. Each face and each loss begged him to recoil, but he stood firm. "I won't forget. I will carry you into the light. You don't define me." The swirling shadows hesitated, the faces flickered. Courage blossomed within him as he reached for the memories. One by one, he reclaimed them not as burdens, but as teachers. The laughter echoed in his ears, the pain becoming a part of his story that fortified rather than weakened him. The vortex writhed in distress as he intertwined his essence with theirs, rejoicing in the light that began to emanate from him. As the last of the shadows surrendered, Philip felt a powerful rush. The beast, once fierce, now trembled before him, its form dissolving into nothingness. "What?" it breathed, fear replacing malice. "No, yes. My truth shall illuminate this darkness," Philip shouted in affirmation. The shadows exploded into brilliant fragments, scattering into the ether, leaving him standing steady, surrounded by a halo of light, but the light soon settled into a soft glow, forming a golden path that stretched out infinitely before him. Philip turned toward Lily, knowing that this was the culmination of his journey, both an ending and a beginning. "You did it, Philip!" she cried, her happiness shining through. Her encouragement filled him with new energy. "What now?" he asked, his heart racing with uncertainty. "What lies ahead?" "Step forward and find out," Lily urged, her eyes bright with anticipation. "You are ready. The light will guide you, and you will be part of something greater than yourself." Swallowing hard, Philip took a breath, fear mingling with hope. He stepped onto the path, feeling it pulse beneath his feet. The air shimmered with possibility, vibrant and intoxicating. Each step filled him with warmth, and the lingering doubts faded. "Hold on to your truth, Philip," Lily called after him, her voice echoing with every step. "You will encounter challenges, but your light has only just begun to shine." As he walked into the radiant unknown, he felt an overwhelming surge of purpose. The shadows would always be a part of him, but they no longer defined him. He was in control of his narrative now. With renewed vigor, he kept moving forward. Behind him, the desert faded away, a memory once again. He was no longer alone, he carried all his past and all those who loved him into this new frontier. And as the light brightened, peace washed over him like a gentle tide. It was time to embrace the journey ahead, ignite change, and become the beacon he was meant to be. Finally, the horizon opened, revealing a vista alive with color and hope, a testament to the battle fought and won. And for Philip, each step into this new reality echoed with a simple truth: every ending is but a new beginning. Now, it's your turn. You need to subscribe immediately to our channel so you don't miss out on the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support for the journey we've shared together. Smash the like button now, feed the algorithm and help us grow. Flood the comments section with your reflections and theories about the ending. What do you think lies in store for Philip next? And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Let us spread the light.